You're listening to Operation Self Reset. What can coaches do for you? What is going on, you freaking awesome people? Welcome back to Operation Self Reset. My name is Jake DeRocky, and I applaud you for being a part of this show on this particular Wednesday. Hopefully this content is going to do the awesomeness for you in your life. But before we get started, I want to take a second and appreciate our sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Molecule. For $75 off your first order, visit molekulE.com, and at checkout, enter promo code RESET. So with that being said, today's show, we're going to be talking about coaching, and not so much that you need a life coach to go through your life and become a better individual in your own personal life. That's a really mocking of a very sophisticated gentleman. But the truth is, this is not so much to sell you on anything. This is really to understand the coaching dynamic. There's a lot of moving parts, and hopefully throughout this journey here, it can relate to you and what you're doing, and maybe open up your mind to what is possible in your own personal life. Now, to get started here, a little background story. I have 3 kids. They're all boys. My oldest is 4 years old. He wanted to start to play hockey about last year. So when he was like 3.5, 3-ish. And so we got him the skates, we got him shin pads, and we started to have a coach, a skating coach, that taught me how to skate way back in the day. She is still at the hockey rink teaching young guns how to skate. And so we went through this process of getting him organized and going through the basic steps of how to even just push cones to standing up, and now we're practicing going backwards and hockey stops and all this crazy stuff. It's really rewarding, really cool. I am a hockey dad. I grew up playing hockey at the age of 6 years old. I was at a Cub Scouts kind of like field trip, and we went to an ice rink, and after we got off of public skating, a hockey team went on, and I had no idea about hockey. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know how it worked. The Mighty Ducks was just coming out in movies. And so I was like, Mom, Dad, what is this about? And they kind of shook their head like, well, we're going to give you the opportunity and we'll see what happens with it. And from there, it has been a great ride. Since I was 6 years old, played all through grade school, into high school. I was on Team Wisconsin for two seasons. I did not do anything after that professionally. I was more the bruiser as opposed to the technical kind of aspects of sliding through people. I was a defenseman. And so what I'm getting at here, if there is an end to my story, not so much about bragging about me, but through my time, obviously I've experienced some really good coaches and some really bad coaches. And now as a father of a child that is going through hockey, I volunteered myself to be an assistant coach to it's called a Devos league, which is basically 3 and 4 year olds that have never played organized hockey before. And let me say it's been an amazing experience so far. But before I get into that, I want to share with you that when it comes to coaching, there's a lot of great aspects to coaching, right? We understand that there needs to be relationships that are built between a player, or in your case, maybe a student, or in your case of maybe learning an instrument or an arts or crafts or any type of where there's a mentor and a student of some kind. It can be in the facet of athletics. It can be in the facets of school or in the facets of business. It doesn't really matter, but this applies to everything. Coaching is a generic term of one individual that has some type of expertise that is assisting another individual that may be slightly lower or even slightly higher that is maybe not making the progress that they would like, right? So the thing that I want to get into is this: the dynamics of what can coaching truly do for you. And it's not so much to sell you on anything, but it's a reminder of what can you give, and then mostly what can you receive from an individual that is willing to spend time with you to embark on going about your life, your days, your weeks, your months, and your years. And so a little retraction here into the world of hockey. I grew up having some amazing coaches that really grew me into a good player, but also there were coaches that were very conniving and they did things that were very inappropriate. And the example I'm going to use is this. When I was in high school, I had a hockey coach that liked to use a certain players on the ice at all times. As in, there was a big gap between people that were really good at hockey and then the people that were not so good on our team. And I remember that our coach needed to make sure that his good players were on the ice at all times. And so the problem is that those good players would be exhausted. They wouldn't be able to skate the whole game, so there needed to be some type of timeout or pause or break for these good players to kind of recuperate. Well, this coach would always throw pennies on the ice to stall the game. He would throw pennies on the ice. He would he would yell at the ref, "Hey, come over here! Fans are throwing pennies on the ice." The refs would call. They would shut down the game. The refs would go search the ice. They'd pick up a couple of pennies. They'd make an announcement to the audience. Audience, please don't be throwing coins on the ice. Thank you. And then, of course, after the break, the puck would be dropped and the game continues. And that obviously sticks in my brain more than the great coaches that I had because that was just ridiculous. He would do other obnoxious things of like telling the goalie that's in the net to drop down and act like he's fixing his pads to stall the game. All these little things that obviously were not good because that's not a good way to show young, growing minds how to coach individuals, but also too, you saw a different dynamic. That individual, that coach that we had was a semi-pro hockey player, and he was using tactics to kind of get the edge of winning. Now, obviously, that's not a good way to go through life, and we understand that, you know what, if you choose to cheat your way through life, it's not going to work out for you. The same in any type of facet, from writing a book, from being in business to moving up management. There are, some brown nosers and people that do unique things, but to cheat full out consistently is usually not going to get you in the right spot. And also, too, morally, what is that going to do for you? Is that really going to build your self-confidence? Are you really going to feel confident in who you are if you're just cheating your way through life? No, of course not. And so the things that I want to hit on today is really the coach-player dynamic. And what I realize is this. Working with these young kids has really opened my eyes to understanding what it takes to be a great coach and also to pull out great things within that player, that student, that individual that's searching for help. And the reason why I say that is because during the first practice, I walked on the ice with 20, 3, and 4-year-old kids. They're decked out in used hockey equipment, some too big, some smells from older people. They're all over the place. They're falling down as soon as they hit the ice. Some are panicking and freaking out. And the unique thing about hockey, it's not like the parents can just walk on the field and grab the kid or hold the kid or talk to them. When you're on the ice, you're kind of separated from your parents. So I plus about 5 other coaches are on the ice trying to circle up, basically wild chickens that are spread throughout. It's like a yard sale. Gloves are over here, sticks are across the ice. Kids are freaking out. And then these other coaches that have been dealing with these younger generation, they grab these kids, they throw them on chairs that are on the ice because this is like their first time getting acclimated to the ice and hockey and all that stuff. And these coaches are pushing around these kids. Now, I've never worked with kids at this level. I wouldn't even qualify myself as a coach of how to teach somebody how to skate. But yet, these other coaches knew what they're doing, and they were pushing these kids around. Some kids were holding onto hockey sticks as the coaches were, going as fast as they can around the rink. And it was absolutely nuts. Like, I had no idea what to do. I felt so out of place. It was totally absolute mayhem. But as the practice went on, we started to do actual drills and, practicing like falling down and getting up, just simple stuff. But I realized that by me providing a positive attitude and a likability, some of the players, hopefully, and I think it was my son too, it really enjoyed my presence. They enjoyed me being there. They enjoyed, watching me fall down and get up and showing them the right technique. And I realized that there is a trust that is built between a coach and a player. And the coach really needs to trust the player that he has more to give, that he is capable of more. And if you want to look into the history books of John Wooden, he was an amazing college basketball coach. John did phenomenal things to pull out the best in his players. And one of the great stories that I'd like to share is this. Early on, every first practice of every season, when John Wooden would see his new athletes, and these are now recruited athletes, these are legit players. This isn't, 3 or 4 year olds on the ice, falling down and their gear spread throughout. These are players that are groomed, that they're ready to make the next leap from college to the NBA. And he sits down with them and he shows them how to properly put on a sock and how to properly tie a shoe. And the reason why he does that is because he wants to make sure that these athletes don't get any creases in their sock. With a improperly tied shoe could cause irritation on the foot, and the irritation could cause to a blister. And when you have a blister or irritation on your foot, you're not 100% checked into the game. And when you're not 100% checked into the game, you're obviously going to have a lot of mental mistakes. And then also, too, that blister can turn into worse things, and then you're not going to be playing on the court. And so John would do the simplest things necessary to make sure that they could reap the reward later on. And so what John was doing in that facet was that he was trusting the players that, number one, I'm going to teach you something, and number two, that I trust that you're going to do this every single practice and every single game. By me trusting you, I can focus on the things that are important, aka passing, dribbling, shooting, all those other dynamics. And so it's not so much the over-complex issues that we need to worry about, or, how to hit a, half-court shot, or in your world, maybe how to deal with, the extraordinary, or, the craziest things in your business or what you're dealing with. But in actuality, it's the boiled-down essence of really what it is that works and what it is that can absolutely move you in the right direction. Now, in the world of personal development, there are so many different dynamics. It's really unique on when you read a book or you listen to a speaker on the different facets. Some speakers are really honed in on the idea of keep your finances in line to allow yourself to kind of grow and prosper and all those things. And once you do that, you're mentally secure. Other speakers go into facet of you need to open yourself up and kind of bet it all on red or black and take the risks and fall down and all these different facets. And it's unique because at the end of the day, even though these speakers have their own viewpoints on what's needed to go out there in the world, they also understand the simplicity of the basics. And when you understand the basics, that is where you can thrive. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but I want to take a second to talk about our sponsor today. Again, our sponsor is Molecule. To get yourself $75 off, head on over to molekulE.com and use promo code RESET. So with that being said, Molecule introduces a breakthrough science that is finally capable of destroying air pollutants at a molecular level. I'm just happy I even said that correctly. One customer said that they were able to breathe through their nose for the first time in over 15 years. Molecule's technology has been personally effective and verified by science, but most importantly, it's been tested by real people. Molecule has already helped allergy and asthma sufferers around the country better cope with their conditions and significantly reduce their symptoms. Being a first responder, I see asthma patients all the time and asthma sufferers all the time, and it's truly a devastating thing to get that caught up where you can't even catch your breath. And if this device can honestly save you a trip to the ER or reduce your symptoms or even medical costs, this may be worth an investment of investigating and to see if it applies and fits for you. All I ask of you guys is to head on over to molecule.com and get yourself $75 off. The way to do that is go to molekulE.com and use promo code RESET to get yourself $75 off. Again, molecule.com, promo code RESET for $75 off. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. And so a coach is nothing more, mentor or supervisor is nothing more than to make sure that you do the little things on a daily basis to get the end result. And so also, though, it goes the other way, that the player needs to trust the coach. That he needs to trust him that the coach can take the player to the next level. Because if you look in the world of sports and you go down the iconic kind of board, the people that are recognized, the big iconic coaches are kind of put on this pedestal of like, wow, the awe. And why is that? Because the coach believed in the players and the players believed in him. And when the players believe in the coach, that is where the chemistry happens. That's where the magic kind of manifests and the things blow open. The same in today's world. If you look at iconic business people like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, those are the obvious ones, and they're obvious for a reason because people trust them full-heartedly, will do whatever they say. Whatever they say they believe is God or a higher power. And there's one example that I want to share with Elon Musk. Elon Musk was down on his luck of him and SpaceX sending all these space rockets up into orbit and then having them land back on moving barges or, in Florida or in Texas, in these different locations. And at first he failed, but it wasn't until he was really low on his luck that he realized that he needed this last rocket to land perfectly, not only to launch perfectly, but to land perfectly. And they had this big launch party. And they had every employee from that factory, over a couple thousand people in the factory watching on jumbo screens in the warehouse where they work every single day, late at night, watch the launch, and then they watch this rocket ship come back down. I think it was on National Geographic. And the reaction from the crowd was awesome to see it launch. But you should have saw the reaction when that thing came perfectly down on all four of its wings or landing wheels, or I don't know all the technical aspects of it. But when that rocket came back down from orbit and landed perfectly upright, there were people crying, people were hugging. It was like they won the Super Bowl as a team. Because Elon had the vision, Elon knew what was possible, Elon trusted in the players, aka his staff, to make that dream possible, but then those players also knew that Elon was going to do whatever it took to get to that goal, to that objective. And when that chemistry, when that trust can go both ways, it is a really powerful force. The other example that just came up just now, I was at a women's group, a women entrepreneur group, and there's probably about 40 different women there, and they had a kind of like a men tell all, just kind of like 4 or 5 guys up on the stage, and the ladies from the audience were talking about different dynamics of the men versus women battle in the workplace. And I don't know why I was really there, but it was kind of cool to be a part of that. And so the unique part is one of the women stands up and goes, okay, there's a big issue between women and men in the workplace. How can women feel qualified to work with men? And one of the gentlemen that spoke first, he was like this political leader here in the Midwest. He was very well recognized. And he was saying all these different ideas of, well, you have to basically interview him, interview the lady to make sure that she's a good fit for the team and vice versa. And you need to ask questions and make sure you're qualified and all this stuff that on paper sounds legit, on an obvious application for a job or a position would be true. But I had to chime in because I was like, you know what? I got to say something. I got to jump on this guy's coattails here. And I'm going to say something, just a 2% degree difference. And so I grabbed the mic and I said, you know what? I work in a unique field. I have women firefighters and male firefighters. And to this day, it is still one of the biggest divides in the professional world because men think that they're stronger than women, and men believe, and a lot of like citizens believe and people believe that women are not qualified. And I gave a couple examples, but one of them was this, is that there's a lot of guys that are on fire departments, not only locally, but nationwide, worldwide, that are bulky and strong and physically fit, quote unquote, to do the job. They play the role, they fit the role, they look like the role of the elite of I could save anybody, I can do anything. But on the flip side of that coin, you have a woman firefighter that is capable, that's educated, that has gone through the training, and even though she does not fit the stereotype, she doesn't fit the mold, she doesn't have the bulky muscles, she obviously can still do the job because she's a firefighter, she's qualified. But I said the missing gap between the two. So when this woman firefighter comes onto the firehouse for the first time and sees this big bulky guy, the big bulky guy doesn't believe that she is capable. The woman that sees this big bulky guy is probably thinking to herself like, oh, I don't know if I'm qualified, and all this, the lack of confidence. But then she's probably also thinking like, is this guy all show and no go, or is he all go and no show? I don't know. And in the route of working together on different runs and fires and stuff like that, the only thing that can happen is that a trust is built between the two. And you can sit down at the kitchen table at the firehouse, and the female firefighter could talk to the male firefighter, and they could talk about what they can do and what they can lift and all this stuff. But truly, not until they show each other what they are capable of is that trust will be built. And so in regards to what I'm trying to say is a coach and a player can sit down on two opposite sides of the table, and they can discuss on the vision and what's going to happen and how it's going to work and what the coach is going to do and how he's going to push them. And the player is going to respond by saying, oh, I'm going to work for you and I'm going to give my best and all that stuff. But until that their feet are on the court, until the skates are on the ice, until the penny loafers are on the feet, or the suit is tied up or the dress is on, will we know when the trust is built between the two parties. And it doesn't have to be female versus male. It can be male versus male, female versus female. It doesn't really matter. But truly, in that regard, when the trust is built, that is where the absolute connection of a player and a coach, a mentor and an individual, can unite. And that is where the player trusts the coach to bring out their best, but then the coach also trusts the player that they will be capable of moving throughout. And so the second idea that I really want to focus in on here is that we need to be pushed. Some resist it, but most of us react to it. And you may be the type of individual that goes, you know what, I hate it when people push me. I hate it when they try to get more out of me. I shut down, I curl up, I turn into a ball. Some way, somehow, at one given point, you were an individual that enjoyed the competition, that you enjoyed the race, you enjoyed the drawing competition, or to who could read or write or spell better, or who could score higher on that athletic or academic exam. And so today's world, we are very aware of who we are. Don't push my ego. Don't push me to think like that, or don't push my buttons, or you're threatening me. And there's a lot of peer pressure that is going on in the workplace and in the world today to rise up. And I gave a presentation or a podcast previous couple of months about expectations and how we have these expectations of who we are, and it puts a lot of pressure on us. Some people do extremely well under pressure. Some people curl up and they fall apart. For the people that fall apart, there was a time in your life that you enjoyed the competition. It may not be in the regards of athletics or sports or coaching, but it could be in the regard of doing well personally on a test. And if it wasn't doing good for you, it was doing good for your parents or somebody else. And the biggest individuals that are currently doing amazing things in the world today are usually not doing it to fill their own cup of water. They're doing it out of spite, out of the competition that they can, because they know that it's possible. And they're doing it because their parents told them that they couldn't. It's because their old bosses said that they were dumb or silly, or they're old, athletic individuals. Michael Jordan, obviously amazing basketball player, he did his best out of spite because he wasn't a starter in North Carolina. He wasn't the all-star that he was in the NBA. And nobody understands that until they're put into a situation where they can rise up above the rest. And so for you, I want you to reflect on where do you go? Do you resist the pressure or do you react to it? The unique part is a coach, a mentor, an individual that is higher than where you're at is not so much there to put the pressure on you and to force you to do things, but it's there to kind of push you or pull you from where you are. Depending on your personality, depending on who you are personally, there are going to be moments where people are going to grab onto you and pull you up, or they're going to get behind you and they're going to push you forward. And in those cases, when you feel that resistance, don't shut down, put your heels in the ground. I want you to think there must be a reason why this individual wants something better for me. Is there something that I don't see it within myself? The unique part to the individuals that come to my event, Self Reset Power, again, it's going to be held in 2018 in September. Head on over to selfresetpower.com to find out more information. It's my event. The reason why I enjoy the live experience is because I have the opportunity to put pressure on people a little bit more than what they're used to. One thing that I say and I proclaim almost every single podcast episode is get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable. People that step outside of their box or their performance envelope are the people that push themselves to that next level. It can be a half a step, it could be a toe over, but nonetheless, if you stay comfortable, if you stay within your wheelhouse, you are never going to grow into the person that you possibly could be or the person that you truly are within. The unique part about today's world is that we stay comfortable. I'm actually presenting in my office at my home right now, and it's comfortable. If you were to throw me in a live studio with windows all around me, like I was in a fish in a fishbowl, on Main Street in downtown Milwaukee, it would be very unique. But I would be up for the challenge because I know it would help me grow. It would help me feel more confident. It would help me feel more capable of who I was. But if I just continue to kind of be within this office, I'm not really growing. That's why I'm reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce. That's why I'm reaching out and doing other speaking engagement, paid and unpaid. That's why I'm trying to write books and do different things online to expand myself, to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And so in the regards of where's the pressure when we get pushed, are you willing yourself to understand that people are there to push or pull you? And second of all, are you too comfortable? Coaches, mentors are there to make us uncomfortable. Coaches, mentors are there to show us what is possible. Coaches, mentors are there to make sure that we understand that even though I say I don't have any time, they're there to make sure that we do have the time. And a lot of us resist coaching. A lot of us understand it, and we used to do it when we were kids or in high school or even college, or maybe some of you are listening, you had it in post-college, and good for you. But when have you actually had coaching recently in the regards of helping you level up? And it doesn't have to be in the regards of paying somebody or find somebody online or buying their book and all that stuff. It can be a friend. It could be a family member. It could be an author that you just read or listen to from afar. Are you taking their words of wisdom and applying it into your life? The great thing about podcasting is there's a plethora of information. Unfortunately, you can listen to podcasting while your mind is distracted doing other things. And so as you listen to these comments and ideas, majority of the time you think, wow, that's really good, really brilliant. But the bad part is 2 seconds later, it goes into the abyss. You forget about it because you're driving, you're working out, you're changing your kids' dirty underwear, whatever the case may be, and life continues. And so when you think of it like that, and you think of the dynamic between a coach pushing or pulling you, some of you guys are resisting it, but also some of you guys are reacting to it in a positive manner. And this story or this idea kind of brought up an old, it's not so much a mythical legend as it is of a kind of a metaphor for that example. And I don't know if you ever heard of it, and this is me summarizing it, but in Indonesia, there were 6 blind men. And these 6 blind men were led to a very large elephant. And these blind men circled the elephant from different areas, and they walked towards the elephant and they were touching it. One guy was touching the tail, one guy was touching the knee, one guy was touching the belly, one guy was touching the tusk, one guy was touching the forehead, and each one of those blind men had no idea that it was an elephant. But as the man was grabbing the tail, he goes, "Oh, this is a rope. It's a very flexible rope." The man that was slapping the side of the elephant goes, "Oh, this is a very hard, dense wall." The man that was touching the knee of the elephant goes, "Oh, this is a knot in a very large tree." The man that was touching the tusks felt, "Oh, this is a gentle body, must be an infant of how soft and maneuverable it is." The gentleman that was touching the forehead of the elephant was, "Oh, I must be slapping the side of a rock or a brick or something of very dense nature." And as these 6 individuals that were blind came together to sit and to discuss of what they experienced that day, they all had their own idea of what they felt. And the man about the rope was declaring that no, it was a rope. The man that was feeling that it was the side of the elephant declared it was the wall, and so on and so forth. And these men battled for hours and hours and hours because it was based on their perspective. Each one of them felt one different part, and that was only one part of a whole elephant, of the whole thing. And it's easy for us as individuals that can see or even to visualize that an elephant is an elephant, right? We see it, that's an elephant. There's no discussing there. But for a second, pour yourself into the shoes of a blind man feeling the side of an elephant and slapping that going, oh man, this is a wall. Look how massive and thick this is. And so on and so forth. And so the metaphor out of that is nothing more about perspective. And so for you, you may feel that the resistance that you want and that you put your heels into the ground are because you feel that they're wrong and you're right. That coach or mentor isn't there to help you, it's there to push you, and you don't like it because you're scared and you tell them to stop, but they won't stop, and I don't want to get promoted, and I don't want to try harder, I don't want to wake up early, I don't want to work on my health, I don't want to try the diet, I don't want to read the books, I don't want to go to the seminars. But in actuality, your perspective is just one flavor, is just one side of the elephant. And so that coach, that mentor, that individual, maybe the podcast host, I don't know, I'm just talking, I don't know, hypothetically here, is there because they know that you have something more, that you have more to give than what you're currently giving. And that's the great part about going into different experiences. That's the best part about being comfortable with the uncomfortable, is that when you go into these different moments of your life, big or small, you have the opportunity to see a different perspective than you never thought or would have saw before. And so, for the individuals that choose to step outside their means, I applaud you. But for the individuals that resist it, that hold back from it, that hear an invitation to come to a 3-day event in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, September of 2018, to walk on fire, to break boards, to hear some amazing guest speakers, to connect with amazing individuals from around the world. Yes, it's a worldwide event. And you think to yourself, no, I'm too busy. No, I don't have the means. Why? Sounds silly or stupid to me. I can get all the free content by just listening to this. You're listening to this in an area of your car, in your home, in your office, in your workplace, walking around outside, probably within your neighborhood, or at least maybe 10 or 20 miles within your normal means. You're comfortable. And so my choice to you is to leverage that and to get you outside of your normal expectations, the normal way of thinking. Because a coach needs to trust that the player will go out there and perform. But the player needs to trust in the coach that they'll show up every single day. And for me, I've shown up almost every single Wednesday for 4 years straight. When I'm sick, when I'm tired, when I don't feel like it, when I feel like it, all those different things, because I choose to be the coach that you can trust in. And I choose to trust in the player that you can be. That was really good. That was really deep. I'm going to have to coin that or something. But that's the truth. I don't get on here to be away from my family, to talk late night in my office alone for the glory of self-satisfaction. I do it because of the trust that is built between me and you. And so the choice that you have right here, right now, is to believe the things that I'm saying and to say, all right, he's trusting in me. Maybe it's time I trust in him. Or you have the ability to make that work, or you have the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to check out here. Because the individual that just only digests the material, the unique thing about the human brain and the human body is that when you digest things in, things also come out. In a not gross way, but it's the truth. The unique part is sometimes some things are extracted from that nutrients, but the question is, what is it that is extracted, and what are you willing to do with it? Coaching is a unique dynamic. You can be on either side of the coin, and for the first time in a long time, I have ever been on the either side. And I have seen firsthand some of those 3 and 4 year olds have a second level that they never thought possible. Sure, did I use some jujitsu of words to get them motivated and excited to push a little hockey net around the rink? But man, oh man, when some of them saw that opportunity and I was there to enforce them and to kind of push them a little bit farther than maybe what they had at their home, some kids thrived off of it. Some kids didn't. They're they're in their own world, and that's totally cool too. And I don't plan on being that parent that's psycho and like, my kid's the best and I'm just going to push my kid. No. Because you know what? Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own hero's journey. And each and every one of you guys is in a journey right now, right here, in different parts of your relationship, in your business, in your health, in your finances, in your overall well-being, your spiritual side. And I don't know where you're at in those journeys. But what I do know is that by me interjecting some of this words of wisdom, if you want to call it that, into those journeys will allow you to maybe speed it up, slow it down, change it up, or to reflect on the journey that you're in to hopefully make a better decision. And when people do choose to push you, don't resist it. React to it in a positive manner. React to it in a way of those individuals touching the side of an elephant. Hopefully that was a cool metaphor. I don't know. It was unique. I stumbled across it not too long ago, a couple months ago, and I thought it was kind of cool. And it's about perspective. My perspective is totally different than yours. I have no idea where you are, where you're from, what you're about, all the craziness that's going on in your world. But what I do know is that you have more to give than what you're currently doing. And I also know that you have capabilities beyond what you're thinking right now. And I know all of you guys have dreams, ambitions, wants in your life, and for some odd reason, you're not going after it. I don't know why. It's truly the ball's in your court. Don't use the excuse of I don't have time or I don't know the way or I'm disorganized and all that stuff, because those are nothing more than skills that can be learned. And if you need somebody to join you in that journey, well, then hopefully we can talk here in the next couple of weeks or months or whatever it may be. And this, by no means am I saying this is a sales presentation, but it's more of an open conversation on how I can help you better. If you're a parent and you don't have any time because your kids are going out of control, well, then you should sit down with me. I got 3 young kids. I'm doing a podcast. I own real estate. I work full time. I'm juggling many hats. So with that being said, there's a lot of great avenues and resources for you to expand in. And all I want you to think of, what coaches can you surround yourself with? Who can be there for you to help pull or push you forward? Where can you build that trust between you and the coach and you? And once you have that, that's unifying force. And again, when that coach, mentor, individual chooses to push you, don't resist it, react to it. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys full-heartedly. I thank you for your time. Hopefully this connected to you and resonated with you. And I applaud all you guys for getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, for doing something a little bit different. Go out there in the world and be more of who you can be. Tony the Tiger said it once. They're great. But you know what I say? You're great in my Tony Tiger's voice. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys. I thank you for being a part of Operation Self Reset. If there's anything that I can do for you to serve you in a better way, feel free to go to your cell phone and text me. My number is 414-550-4012 or email me, jake@operationselfreset.com. If you need anything else from me, let me know. But until next week, Wednesday, go out there and be freaking awesome. And before I forget, let's do a little bit of awesome sauce, because you know what? Sometimes you need to reawaken the beast within. And awesome sauce is nothing more than screaming at the top of our lungs that I'm freaking awesome. It's more of a declaration of who you personally are, of the awesome things that you have within. It's not so much of a, look at me, I'm more awesome than you. No, this is more of an internal pride thing. When was the last time that you stood up for yourself and said, I'm freaking awesome? Lately, there's been a slew of different emails and text messages of people that for some odd reason aren't able to say, I'm freaking awesome, because they feel that they're not qualified. And I've read countless emails of people say, I appreciate you bringing out the awesome sauce, because for the first time in a long time, I stood up for myself. And after I said, I'm freaking awesome, I broke down in tears. That's pretty darn powerful, wouldn't you say? And if you are an individual that is pretty darn confident in who you are, I want you to show me how confident you are. I want you to take a recording of you doing the awesome sauce, and I want you to send it to me. I'm collaborating. I already have around 20 different videos of people from around the world screaming, I'm freaking awesome. And it would be greatly appreciated for your face, your message to inspire hundreds, thousands, billions of people around the globe by you declaring you're freaking awesome. I know will open up the greatness in others. So with that being said, let's stand up in a position of power with our chest out, shoulder blades back, arms overhead, our thumbs out, pinkies out, spirit fingers, it doesn't, bull horns, whatever you got to do. And at the count of 3, we're going to scream, I'm freaking awesome. All right, here we go. Boy, here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm freaking awesome. Woo! Yes, doesn't it feel good? Maybe not. I don't know. If this is your first time, kind of awkward, a little weird, but nonetheless, it's freaking awesome. So, with that being said, I appreciate you guys. If you know somebody that could use a little bit of awesomeness in their life, feel free to share this podcast and go out there and do something freaking awesome for yourself. Until next week, Wednesday, be your best, do your best, be freaking awesome. We'll see ya.